Hello everyone and welcome to Castle's Corner. I am Coach Castle and today I just wanted to bring you guys a quick argument for biomechanics as well as some questions for you directly, the viewer, you listening. I would like you guys all to assist me in answering the questions I'm going to be posing to you in the comments below. And I'm probably going to be titling this video Ignorance, Ego, or Intentional Stupidity, as in my opinion, these would be the only reasons for not training correctly and efficiently. So, the purpose of this video is to bring a simple understanding or childlike understanding as to how easy biomechanics is to understand and implement in your training. And my question to you all is why you would not use this correct style of training, since the principles I'm about to be discussing will revolutionize your training provided you understand them. And I'm going to do my best to make sure you do. So you can maximize your gains, you can completely remove all possibility of damage to your body, you can spend the least amount of time in the gym, etc. On top of the fact that you will not need to continuously cycle through different varieties of exercise for no purpose. You will only need to learn some 20 odd, depending on who you are, perfect movements between 20 and 26. And you have absolutely no need to go to a gym to do any of them perfectly, considering they can all be performed perfectly in the comfort of your home for basically no money. Now, in regards to the correct biomechanical principles of assessing and selecting the best or most efficient exercises, well, there are 16, both mechanical and neurological. Now, I have other videos explaining and discussing all 16 and why they are what they are. That is not the purpose of this video. In this video, I will simply be making an argument for training intelligently, using only one of these simple to understand principles, and asking you all the question as to why you would use barbells in your training or any single instrument. Now, the biomechanical principle I will be discussing in this short video today will be unilateral training versus bilateral training. So let's just go ahead and get into it. So to address unilateral training versus bilateral training, many studies have already been undertaken concerning this particular phenomenon. Just Google it, you don't have to take my word for it. But I will be using a different word interchangeably to reference unilateral training for the moment. I'll be referring to it as cross-education or perhaps independent limb movement. Now, independent limb movement or cross-education has a large benefit beyond that which is gained from working two limbs at the same time or sharing an instrument, bilateral training. Now, the reason for this is because all people have some degree of imbalance of muscular size, strength, and shape from one side of the body to the other side. And it's not always the same side, it's not always the dominant side of the body that's stronger or larger. It is also not consistently throughout the body either, so you might have, just as an example, it's not usually the entire right side or the entire left side, which is larger and stronger. You might have a stronger left biceps, but also a stronger right triceps. In addition, if you have a previous injury, there may be a slight but also a permanent weakness in the muscle on that particular side. Well, the good news, regardless, is that with unilateral training, or in this case, referring to it as cross-educational training, you can be positive that the percentage of contralateral benefits will be greater in the weaker limb, as it is independent of the stronger limb, which would basically compensate and do some of the work while using a single instrument. Now, this would make sense, of course, given the tendency of the human body to seek the path of least resistance and compensate. When using a barbell of any form, you are using bilateral training, which will always cause your stronger side to exert more effort and to continue to grow stronger, while your weaker side will remain weaker as well as reducing the overall force and the focus. Using unilateral training or cross-educational training will prevent this effect. You will also be able to get an additional 5 to 10% crossover or bonus benefit to the opposing limb muscles when you're working contralaterally or independently. So you train your right bicep, even if your left bicep doesn't get trained, it gets benefit. Now, the issue I find primarily when explaining this concept is that the fitness industry has defined unilateral exercise as one limb working at a time. This description is not entirely accurate. It is too simplified. Now, this is because not an issue of timing, but rather the limb and the muscle independence. The reason unilateral exercise has extra value is because the limb is working independently, generating more force, more focus, and of course, more sets and reps, more volume, and of course, also the benefit to the carryover benefit to the other side. Now, if you perform a dumbbell curl with the right arm working independently, even if the left arm is also curling a dumbbell at the same time, this is a unilateral movement. The term unilateral should be equated with independence instead of with timing. All exercises should be unilateral in that regard. So 2 dumbbells being curled simultaneously would still be a unilateral exercise because they are both independently operating and you only have to think up. That's all. Now, the term bilateral has traditionally been used to describe an exercise in which a person is using 2 limbs simultaneously, even if each limb is lifting its own separate weight. As such, the term bilateral really should not be used to describe both arms working simultaneously. Now, this is because it does not stipulate whether the arms are working independently of the other, as in two dumbbells being curled, or sharing a single instrument like a barbell. Now, doing a standard barbell movement does not generate the same mechanical and neurological effect on the bicep as does using dumbbells. When performing any bilateral exercise or shared instruments, there will be a weakening in the amount of force the body is able to produce. An example of this would be a phenomenon, perhaps performing alternating bicep curls. Just to stick with the same example, I will be using both of my arms in an alternating fashion as well as independently. Now, this type of unilateral training would be considered alternating unilateral exercise. Now, there are good reasons why this is the best method of doing exercise. Curling one arm at a time reduces the load on the lower back by 50%, as compared with curling both arms simultaneously. Of course, the more weight you are using, the more this matters. And another important reasons for curling in an alternate fashion, however, is because of something known as bilateral deficit, which is a neurological phenomenon that allows more weight to be lifted when using one limb at a time versus when using 2 limbs at a time. When using one limb independently, or in this case, just one arm, you're still able to lift more than 50% of the weight with that arm than you would be able to lift simultaneously using both arms. Dumbbells, cables, kettlebells, I don't like them, but if you're using them for shrugs or something, other independent instruments provide a solution to the bilateral deficit, allowing you to produce more force, allowing you to focus on the muscle better, allowing you to lift more overall load and more volume, as well as performing just overall total sets and reps. They also have the benefit allowing you to complete full range of motion inside the correct resistance curve, which is very important. This is something a single instrument prevents. A single instrument in this case being any tools like a barbell, a hex bar, pull-up bar, these things. Meaning, if you want to use bilateral training, you will be performing your exercise considerably less effectively, as well as taking a longer time to perform and increasing the risk of damage to your body. Next, just to address the full range of motion real quick, as compared to partial range of motion training. Very simple concept to understand, but one which is kind of continuously swept under the rug in favor of more commercially marketable options for muscle confusion and other bullshit. Now, I am of course referring to the fact that full range of motion, provided it is within the correct resistance curve, will always be superior to partial range of motion. Furthermore, isometric contraction would be the worst of them all, or the lowest in the hierarchy of effectiveness. as it only trains a muscle in one very small location. So once again, here is another problem when using a shared instrument. In this case, let's do the bench press. We'll use the barbell as an example. So let's just say, hypothetically, you will be performing a bench press while using a barbell. Now, in this particular instance, as your hands are in a fixed grip on the bar and incapable of sliding, you will be unable to conclude the final 30% of the movement, as you cannot fully contract your pectorals, as your arms, again, just don't come fully together through the full range of motion. Well, also, you'll be restricting the range of motion by up to 20 to 30% in the beginning portion of the movement, depending on how large your chest actually is, where you finish the movement, how much you're curling your back. And of course, most people bounce the bar off their chest like it's a freaking trampoline, or they use those ridiculous slingshot rubber bands. Now, the reason for this, obviously, is you cannot pull a barbell through your torso, meaning you're sacrificing 20 to 30% of the range of movement, particularly where you have a mechanical disadvantage, and the muscle has the capacity to produce the greatest amount of force. The most important part of the movement is the beginning range. So, here's my question to you. Now that you know that bilateral training is considerably more inefficient than unilateral training, why would you use barbells? Or any shared instrument for that matter? I didn't even talk about line of resistance. I could keep going in this video, guys. You'll be sacrificing your efficiency as well as your muscular gains. The length of time spent in the gym is going to be double. You're increasing your risk of injury. So again, why would you use a barbell? In my opinion, you're either ignorant of this information, ego-driven, and as such do not actually care about being healthy or producing the greatest results in the shortest period of time. Now, please, if somebody feels I have missed something in my argument and feel dumbbells have some freaking benefit, please let me know. Leave a comment below or email me. I'll get back to you soon. And hopefully you have scientific data to back up your argument, not simply bro science. You have to refute my physics, my chemistry, and my neurology. Don't come at me with bro science. So anyways, I hope this helps everybody. Please, if it did, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, of course. Click the bell button to get notifications. Don't forget I'm going live on Sunday for a free coaching session at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And also, I just put up a challenge for 3 free coaching sessions with me. So check it all out, guys, and have a wonderful day.
Stronger than ever.